week. This week's code of conduct is to be prompt, start on time, work, appointments, and projects. Ben Dow, anything to add?
Let's see. Plan ahead, be on time, and let people know if you're going to be late, right?
Mm-hmm.
Communicate when things change.
Perfect.
And don't speed, right? Right, Matt? Don't do unsafe acts to get there on time. It's okay.
Exactly. Don't take on unnecessary risks. Good job for personal injuries over the last 7 days. So another 7 days added to our recordable injuries and first aid. We did have a vehicle incident a couple of days ago. So again, remember that code of conduct. Let's try to be respectful to our vehicles and drive safely, defensively, courteously out there on the roadways. Very minor, but this week we're going to talk about Illumination. It's something that's new, and we're seeing it quite a bit here regarding some accidents and injuries that do occur in construction. We haven't seen any yet, but that's why we're trying to plan ahead and to highlight the importance of making sure that we can see what we're doing, but also be seen while working at night. So there is an OSHA standard. It's the 1926.56 standard to ensure that lighting is up to code for construction sites. And you can see here just a simple table with they kind of go by foot candles for different kind of work environments. But the biggest thing that we see out there is when employees can't actually see what they're doing. There's a lot of slip, trips, and falls, and also moving equipment being struck by moving equipment when you can't see what you're doing. So we're going to kind of highlight this, and Tom's going to talk a little bit more about all our best practices that we have regarding illumination on projects. So there is a safety standard and also a MUTC standard, MUTCD, on our roadways to worker protection. That we got to follow the section 6F.82 that we submit a lot of this to our clients, the state of Vermont, regarding that we're utilizing light plants, especially for flagging, roadway flagger protection, but not just roadway flagger, but also our work zones inside that work zone. To making sure that everyone has adequate lighting to be able to see what they're doing. And the difficult thing is the shadows. There's a lot of shadows. Anyone that's been working a lot of night work, you can see it's very, very difficult. So we're adding a couple best practices to our standard work practices that Tom will be talking about here in a second. So what we're going to see in the next 5 weeks is we're going to lose more than an hour of daylight. It's going to be really dark in the morning. Sunlight by the end of October, or sunrise at the end of October, is going to be roughly like 7:30. So it's really going to change in the morning for us. So we really need to make sure we're planning ahead, aka why we're having the safety meeting for work areas. Lighting will be needed, so utilize light plants, alternative lighting. Our class 3 vests, which has way more retro reflective wear, so you can be seen, and using the right colors in your environment. And again, this goal is to save our lives. Proper illumination will protect our workers from struck by hazards, slip, trips, and falls. So I'm going to pass it over to Tom for the rest of our presentation.
Yeah, so light plants are obviously kind of our primary way of lighting up sites at night. That's been that way for a long time, so that's not telling anybody anything they don't know. But that's got to be your primary, and make sure that you have plenty for all the environments that you're going to be working in, and also the areas that are going to be supporting your projects. Yep, so then equipment and vehicle lighting, obviously that is kind of your secondary that fills in the shadows and stuff like that to your specific area that you're working in if you're driving a truck or operating equipment. And then we're going to get into headlamps, which some people have used for quite a few years, but a lot of people haven't, and those really fill in those shadows for personal use and stuff like that. And they won't replace like light plants and equipment lighting, but they can make it a lot easier for people to see you. You can see detail work that you're working on yourself, and you can see in those shadows as you're walking. It might keep you from falling into a hole or something like that. And they also make it a lot easier to see it through mirrors. And then class 3, which are the sleeve vests, should be worn at night. We have 2 colors of that. We have the yellow and the orange. So picking which one works best for your environment that you're sticking out is huge. And then you can see the retro reflective stripes on them really stand out a lot better. And one of the big things is wearing new vests when you're working at night too, because when you're wearing the old vest that has a bunch of burn marks and stuff in it, it's not doing very much to protect you from getting struck by different items and caught between. So
Is my am I still sharing the slides? My computer just kind of crashed.
yep, they're
So-
still sharing.
Okay.
Yeah, and then with the headlamps too, our new hard hats, they have the little mounts for them, so you can clip them right on, and you don't have to worry about the straps and stuff like that either.
Yep. So get with us if you need some of the newer hard hats that have the nice attachments for night work, especially if you are.
Yeah, especially if you're going to be doing night work for a while. I know Charlie Screw and all those guys have headlamps and the hard hats that they clip onto, and as far as I know, they're working well for them. So.
Yep. They definitely stand out a little bit better in the nighttime. So with a lot going on, it's helpful to have that little light on somebody's head just for illumination. All right, you guys all set?
I think we lost Matt.
Yeah, we might have. Hopefully we
Yeah.
still got control so I can share the screen with me.
You can steal control. So I don't know if anybody here remembers, but we built, before we could get those light plans, before we had any, in 1994, we built a light truck. I don't know if you remember
Right.
this, out of a diamond reel. Like
The
a
diamond reel,
1970
yeah.
Diamond reel. We built a light truck with a big, huge arm on it, and you cranked it up with, like a boat winch.
Right. The gas engine diamond reel.
Yes, with 2-speed automatic transmission.
Kind of lost it here. I'm not where I want to be. Stop. Oops.
Oh yeah, sorry about that. I just got kicked off the internet, but I think I'm back now.
Okay. I'm going to try resharing because I didn't connect to the right window. You know me, I have usually a lot of windows open, right, Ben?
Yes.
More than I should, I guess.
That's the first thing that we do when we help Ken with his computers. We close a bunch of windows.
Yep. Okay, let's see. Illumination. All right. You
Yep.
see that?
Yeah, we got it.
Okay.
Yep, that's good.
All right. Okay. Thank you, Safety Department, reporting remotely from the NCI, our insurance company's risk control workshop being held out near Chicago O'Hare Airport. No new announcements, but again, we're looking to change out the 304 lock keys for new ones, and then the Facebook and Instagram links are here for our social media. And we have several new employees this week. Whoops, stop. There we go. We went by Randy of it, but there is Randy in the civil group. We have Robert Frederick. He's with the trenchless guys. And we have
He was here last year. He came back. He worked
correct.
here
Yeah,
last year.
I should have put that in there. He was like, I think, a student throughout the summer or something like that. Yeah, that's cool that he returned. And then Mark Williams, he's a railroad flagger. So good. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, new people. I have a link to the ECI Primary Care Wellness Program, the summary sheet, and the ECI Employee Assistance Program, the EAP. I have all brochures, phone numbers. That's a 24/7 phone number, I assume, right, Ben?
Yes.
Right, and a connection to their website. So if you need any support for anything ranging from, financial, depression, stress, all kinds of stuff, personal side things, this is a great way to have
Oh, you guys are muted.
Oh, yeah, tell them your ECI when if you call that number, and that way I get you in the system for the assistance.
Ken, you muted yourself.
Yep.
There's a little mic button got muted. That's weird.
Yeah. Mine did the
I didn't
same
even
thing.
find it.
Yeah.
I had to look for it. So is Mark Falkman out there?
I am, yep.
Okay, you want to read or you want to take over the screen?
You can still drive, Ken.
Okay, all right, sounds good.
So this is DFA. We've done a lot of work up there with a treatment tank. Previously, we talked about, I think, the water and sewer relocation that started this project. Can't remember if we touched on the piles under the tank. I don't believe we did. I think it was before
Nope.
that.
We did all the piles and the pile testing in our previous presentations.
We did. Yep.
Yep.
So the project really started last year about this time. Ron and myself met Aries, Brian Gravely from Aries Chemical cold called us and wanted to meet us up there and talk about putting in a big treatment tank. So it's been a year, and here we are at the end where the concrete guys just finished last week. The project included many complicated, complex concrete construction issues. There were 30-foot walls, over 300 cubic yards in total placements. For the walls, it was a 16-foot and a 14-foot. There also was a thickened edge slab as well. The tank's 54 by 17, and of course, total height 30 feet. A bunch of heavy rebar, number 8s and number 11s were in the wall. 2'6" working space from the existing wall to the new tank. We ended up using 6,000 PSI concrete. That was an upgrade towards the end by the engineer. But our 7-day breaks were, I think, pretty much all over 7,000 PSI. A bunch of unusual rebar details. We were working with the consultant out of New York. That maybe that's the standard out in mid-state New York, but certainly isn't around here. Crane support for rebar mats and form handling. We swung in all the forms, and a lot of the rebar was swung in as well. We had to consistently keep eyes out for the tankers coming in and out. They drove underneath the crane. Well, not necessarily underneath the crane, but we had to set the crane up so that they had constant access to what they call Bay 5. Then towards the end, the concrete guys had to go into heavy civil mode and set 9 precast planks on the roof for us, with 8 bars grouted into the planks on the ends. Then towards the end, they had to do a couple of housekeeping equipment pads. One was on top of the tank, one was inside the building. The gang form construction required the inside walls forms be built to full height to allow for the complete rebar mat to be installed, while the exterior walls were installed to 16 feet for the first pour. This was necessary because bar splicing would have cost an additional $15,000 in the rebar for the splicing of the heavy bar. These were well, we'll see some photos of it, but very heavy bar.
Yep. Whoops. This plan is just tells you that what am I looking at, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of all this rebar layout. I think they pretty much, and Ronnie's out there too, I believe, right?
Yeah, I'm out there, Ken.
Yeah.
That picture back there showed one side was the bottom mat and one side was the top mat.
Right. And the way they showed it often was confusing too, right? Kind of a different way of doing it.
Yeah, very confusing. This actually was a better design than what they had first. The first design, they had all different size bars in different areas, and it was just very confusing. So they did clean it up a lot.
Yeah.
Not to mention that the designers kind of cost us a couple weeks because they were building the plane as we were taking off. They were still finalizing the rebar design when the piles were getting finished, and of course, then you got to do shop drawings and get those approved, and then once you get those approved, it's usually a couple weeks. I know Ronnie and those guys squeezed Dimension pretty hard about getting that rebar here quick, because I think we finished the piles around the end of June 25th ish. I think, if I remember right, wasn't around July 8th, somewhere in there, that we actually finally got rebar and could get started on the slab.
Yeah, it was like a couple weeks, and I think we finished piles and we still didn't have the final approval of the rebar
No.
shop drawings. So we pushed Dimensions really hard, and they did a great job getting it to us.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And by the way, it was this tank it was 3 loads, wasn't it, Ronnie? 3 loads of rebar, 105,000 pounds, I think it was total.
Yeah, correct.
Which probably isn't that many bars when you're talking 8s and 11s.
Right.
Like here, this detail shows the wall, and the number 11s are the outside verticals, right?
The 11s are outside and inside.
And inside verticals.
Yeah,
yep.
and then at 12 feet, the vertical bars changed to number 8 bar. So
Okay.
them are both 11s inside and outside.
Yeah, and the engineer called us. I want to say it was, I think the piles were done, called us and asked us, because they had switched designers towards the end, and asked us if we could go to 7,000 PSI concrete, they could get rid of those horizontal stirrups or straight bars you see right there. And so Ronnie, I think you got a hold of Nate, and Ireland wasn't comfortable going to 7,000 PSI concrete, even though their 6,000 mix was getting it. They weren't comfortable, so all this rebar stayed. Of course, it was getting late in the game to switch rebar. As it was, I think we got some rebar that we sent back because of all the changes at the last minute.
Yeah, correct.
So it's just amazing you have something with number 11 bars coming into a footing that skinny. The 18 inches and then tapers to 12 inches at the slab.
But I think you guys had to field design some special supports to hold those candy canes up, didn't you?
Yeah, it was very tough because the 11 bar were like 12 foot tall with only like a 2'6" tail. So they were very top heavy. It was tough. We ended up getting dead men and putting dead men and strapping it just to try to hold it straight and plumb.
It's just before we started rebar.
I got too many women.
Yeah.
And I'll get into the rebar. So it looks like we started with just the grade beam work, right?
Yeah, that was the thickened outside edge.
Yep.
And obviously you can see the amount of rebar. Amazing,
Right.
we got any concrete in there.
Yeah, there it is, all put together with the number 11s. Looks like they're putting in the inside 11s right now in this picture.
Yep. The outside's done, and they're starting to put the inside mat up. This are the guys tying the wall rebar. That's flying it.
Yep.
I think this was our first piece that we've. Oh no, this was
First one.
the first piece that we flew in. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the day you and I
And
were up
And
there.
you can see them. The top of them, they curve. They have a curve in them to go by the shelf. So that's kind of another reason why we needed that wall way up there to tie that off and everything.
Right, yep.
That's a good
Yeah.
picture showing you how close that, you didn't only have that wall there, but then you had this pipe that's about staging height there running across that you had to deal with, and it was very tight.
Yeah, not to mention where you flew the rebar in. There's a roof overhang. I don't know how much it overhangs it, probably 12, 18 inches. So your your clearance was even reduced up top.
There's the guy flying in the top lift of the panels.
Yes, I think I had a previous photo that showed the loading dock. Well, it's not a loading dock. They drive right in to the bay, but they would drive right through where you guys are, where it's flagged off in front of the crane.
Yeah, you can see right there between the crane and the wall. That's where they back their tankers in to get into the building.
Right, backed in, and a little bit tricky, but they did a good job. They'd done it before.
Yeah. That was a very tight site.
It's big.
This is a picture of Greg and crew backfilling here at the final. You can see in front of I'm not sure if that's Matt on the footing. I think it's Matt. You can see the pipe there at the toe of the footing. That was another late addition that they came to us with. There's a bunch of pipes in the ground up here that no one really knew what they were. So every time we dug, we had to be, basically do exploratory digging to make sure there was nothing in the ground. But we had to tie that in at the very end to their drainage system. They really, I think it was a drain out of Bay 4 is what we ended up deciding it was.
I think this photo illustrates how tall this structure is.
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the equipment pads on the roof, I guess.
Yeah, that's the equipment pad they poured on the roof at the very end.
It looks like there's some anchor bolts on the piers up there. Is it for lighting or what?
No, they're putting a building on top of this. This is
Oh, a
all
little
gonna
shed
be
on top. Yeah.
encased after. So I'm not sure how tall the building is. That wasn't part of our scope.
Yeah.
But I'm guessing it's at least another 10 feet taller. So this tank, and the tank was 5 feet below grade. So add another 10 feet, you're going to be about 35 feet total above grade when it's done.
Yep.
Yeah,
Quite a massive
Greg,
wall. Yeah.
Greg backfilling.
He was a long ways from home that day, right?
Yes. Yep. It is nice getting jobs in our backyards.
Yep. Good.
And
Well,
that
thank you guys.
That one's slated. Right now we still got a few bollards. They're trying to figure out where to set those. Those will happen hopefully in the next couple weeks. And then right now we're slated to pave towards the end of October. Good. And that's really all I have left is the bollards and paving.
Good. All right. Thanks, guys. Pretty cool job. Pretty interesting when you see tall walls and big rebar and interesting details. Lots of hard work and intense stuff. Here's this photo archive is from the archives, actually.
State Archives.
Title. Yeah. This is the Vermont State Archives Fire Protection Water Tank in Middlesex back in 2009. Or in the slab there. So it was for fire protection, to fill with water so that they had plenty of reserve for their sprinkler system, because the archives have documents that are kind of are valuable and irreplaceable, and they have to have a high level of fire protection there. So that's good. All right. Well, thank you very much, guys, and I'll turn it back over to the safety department. Have a safe day out there, everybody.
Yes, thank you. And look at how safe that excavation is. That is pretty.
It's great. Pretty open and clean. Yep. I
I
remember
ladder,
we measured
proper slopes. Whew. rebar
We measured
caps.
that slope.
Yeah, we did.
That was before the common GPS time for,
Yep.
for excavators. And I think I got a picture somewhere of Ben Dow with a little triangle with a 2-foot
Yeah.
carpenter's level on it on the top. And we
Yeah.
were checking the slope.
Yeah, we made
30,
it.
that's like probably
Jigsaw.
perfect 34-degree slope right there.
Yeah. That one was.
Yep.
I remember that.
All right, good enough.
Yeah, if you're watching a group setting, make sure to send over attendance and have a safe day. Have a good day.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Everybody, thanks.